You know what's funny? Some people walk into a room and nobody reacts. And some people just breathe and suddenly everyone is acting weird around them. Like, why is someone suddenly fixing their hair? Why are they laughing at jokes that weren't even funny? Why are they suddenly standing closer than necessary like it's a free Wi-Fi zone? And the crazy part, the person causing all this is usually confused like, me? I didn't do anything. Yeah, that's exactly the problem. Today we're talking about something Carl Jung kind of hinted at in psychology. But we're going to make it real life. No heavy theory, no textbook talk, just real human behavior. Funny, slightly weird, and very eye-opening. Because by the end of this video, you might realize people have been reacting to you differently for a long time, and you just didn't notice. All right, let's get into it. Sign 1. People fix themselves around you. Let me ask you something real quick. Have you ever noticed that when you talk to someone, they suddenly become aware of how they're sitting? Like they go from relaxed goblin mode to, let me sit like I have a job interview with God. They adjust their clothes, fix their hair, clear their throat like they're preparing a speech in Parliament, and you're just standing there like, bro, I just asked you where the bus stop is. That is sign 1. People start self-monitoring around you. And here's the psychology behind it in simple words. Your presence makes people more aware of themselves, not because you're intimidating, but because something about your energy makes them notice themselves through your eyes. Carl Jung would say it like this: people project meaning onto you without realizing it. But let me translate that. You become a mirror for people. They start thinking, how do I look right now? How am I coming across? Do I sound stupid? And the funniest part, you didn't even change your face. You're just standing there like, good morning. And someone else is suddenly overthinking their entire existence. Let me tell you a quick story. I once met someone at a small gathering, very calm person, not even doing too much. But the moment they walked in, people started acting like it was a camera recording everything. One guy literally sat up straight, like he owed the universe money. Another one started speaking slower, like his words had to pass inspection first. And later I asked someone, why is everyone acting different? And they said, I don't know. It just feels like you have to behave properly around them. And that's it. That's the sign. You're not loud, you're not trying, but people edit themselves around you. And if that's happening to you, yeah, you're definitely not just normal in the background. Sign 2. People laugh more around you, even at bad jokes. Now this one is dangerous, in a funny way. Because if this is happening to you, you might start thinking, wow, I'm hilarious. Relax. Let's not get ahead of ourselves. Have you noticed that some people laugh around you very easily? Like you say something mid, not even funny. And they're like, you're crazy. Meanwhile, you're thinking, I just said I'm going home. That is sign 2. People feel comfortable releasing energy around you. Now here's the deeper part. Humans don't just laugh at jokes. They laugh at how safe they feel with someone. If someone feels judged, they become serious. If someone feels tense, they become quiet. But if someone feels accepted, boom, laughter. Even nonsense becomes funny. You basically become a safe zone for expression. There was this moment I saw at a small hangout. One guy was telling a story, completely messing it up, like the story made no sense. Timeline was broken, characters were disappearing. It was chaos. But everyone was laughing like it was Netflix comedy special, and I'm sitting there like, this story is illegal. But the vibe was just good. And that's the thing. It wasn't the story. It was the person telling it. Now let's bring Carl Jung in for a second. Jung believed people unconsciously respond to energy patterns, not just words. So what that means in real life is, people respond more to how you make them feel than what you actually say. So if people laugh more around you, even when you're not trying, that means you're emotionally softening the room. You're not forcing energy, you're allowing it, and people love that more than they can explain. But let's be honest. Sometimes it also means your jokes are so bad they loop back into being funny. So let's not take full credit. Sign 3. People suddenly get closer to you without realizing it. This one is very subtle. You won't notice it unless you pay attention. Have you ever been talking to someone, and slowly, without realizing it, they move closer? Like, first they are at normal distance, then suddenly they're half a meter closer. Then you're thinking, bro, are we doing a group project or are we merging souls? That is sign 3. People physically orient toward you. They lean in when you speak. They don't look away easily. They stay in your space longer than necessary. And sometimes they don't even realize they're doing it. This is unconscious attraction behavior. Now let me make it funny so you remember it. It's like your personal space is optional to other people. They just ignore the keep distance rule. Carl Jung would call this projection again. But let me say it in normal human language. People feel something from you that pulls their attention closer. Not always romantic, not always deep. Sometimes just curiosity, sometimes comfort. Sometimes this person feels interesting. Let me stay here a bit. Let me tell you something that happened to me once. I was talking to someone at an event, and I swear, they started off standing at a normal distance. By the end of the conversation, we were basically doing forehead-to-forehead diplomacy. I even stepped back a little. They came back closer. I stepped back again. They followed like I was a walking podcast. And I was thinking, are we talking or are we becoming a sculpture? That's when I realized, some people don't just listen to you. They move toward you while listening. And that's not normal everyday interaction. That's attraction behavior, not always romantic, but definitely psychological pull. Now let's be honest for a second. Sometimes none of this is happening, and you're just sitting there like, bro, I think I'm invisible. Relax. We're not doing pity party here, because sometimes it's not about being magnetic. Sometimes you're just around people who are emotionally asleep. Yes, I said it. Some rooms are just dead Wi-Fi. No signal, no reaction, no laughter. Just people scrolling life internally. So don't misread your value based on one environment, because the same person who feels invisible in one place can walk into another place and suddenly become the one people laugh with, the one people listen to, the one people subtly orbit, and they don't even change. The environment changes. Let me tell you something Jung would probably nod at quietly. People don't react to who you are. They react to what they project onto you. So sometimes they see confidence in you. Even when you feel normal, they see warmth in you. Even when you're just tired, they see mystery in you. Even when you're just quiet, and the funniest part, you didn't do anything. You just exist. And humans are meaning-making machines. They will assign meaning to silence, eye contact, even how you breathe. So, yeah, you might be way more socially influential than you think, without even trying. But let's not get too deep and scary, because if you leave this video thinking, OMG, people are always analyzing me, no, relax. Most people are too busy thinking about what they're eating later. Half of them are not even observing you properly. They're just vibing and reacting. But still, there are moments where people feel something about you before they even understand it. And that's what makes human interaction so funny. Nobody fully understands anyone. We're all just guessing and hoping we're right. So now I want to ask you something, and I want you to be completely honest. Have you ever noticed any of these signs around you? Maybe you've walked into a room and suddenly people started fixing their hair, adjusting their clothes, sitting up straighter, or acting like they were just selected for a surprise interview. Or maybe you've noticed that people laugh a little too hard at your jokes, even the bad ones, especially the bad ones. You tell a joke that deserves absolutely no applause. And somehow everybody is laughing like you just finished a world comedy tour. Or maybe you've noticed people getting closer when they talk to you, not in a creepy way, just naturally. You start a conversation standing comfortably apart. 5 minutes later, you're wondering how this person somehow crossed 3 invisible boundaries and is now practically part of the conversation furniture. Maybe you've seen these signs before. Or maybe this entire video has made you realize something even funnier. Maybe you're the one doing these things. Think about it. Have you ever caught yourself fixing your hair before talking to someone? Have you ever laughed at a joke that wasn't funny at all? Come on. We've all done it. Somebody says something completely ordinary like, "I need to buy milk," and somehow you're laughing like it's the greatest thing you've ever heard. Meanwhile, your brain is thinking, "Why am I laughing? There was no joke." That's because attraction isn't always logical. Sometimes it's subtle, sometimes it's unconscious, and sometimes your brain starts acting before you've even figured out what's happening. That's what makes people so fascinating. Human beings are funny. We spend half our lives trying to understand other people, and the other half trying to understand ourselves, and somehow we're all still confused. That's why I love these little signs, because they remind us that people communicate far more than they say. A person can tell you absolutely nothing with words, and still tell you everything through their behavior. The way they look at you, the way they smile, the way they move closer, the way they suddenly become more aware of themselves. Little things, tiny things, the kinds of things most people miss. But once you notice them, you start seeing them everywhere, at work, at family gatherings, at parties, at the grocery store, at that place where everybody pretends they're not looking at each other while secretly looking at everybody. You know exactly what place I'm talking about. And here's the thing I really want you to remember. Don't become obsessed with looking for signs. Don't start analyzing every person who smiles at you. Don't go into tomorrow thinking, "That cashier said hello. She must be secretly fascinated by my soul." No, let's stay realistic. Sometimes a smile is just a smile. Sometimes a laugh is just a laugh. And sometimes people move closer because the room is noisy. Let's not start a detective agency. The point isn't to overthink people. The point is to become more aware of yourself, more aware of others, more aware of the little moments that make human connection so interesting, because life gets a lot more enjoyable when you start noticing these small things. You become more present, you become more observant, and honestly, you have a lot more fun. So the next time you're talking to someone, pay attention. Not in a weird way. Don't stare at people like you're conducting a scientific experiment. Just notice. Notice the energy. Notice the little reactions. Notice the things words don't say. You might be surprised by what you discover. And who knows, maybe you'll realize you've been more magnetic than you thought all along. Or maybe you'll discover that somebody has been drawn to you for a very long time, and you've been completely oblivious. Honestly, that happens more often than people think. Now, before you go, I want to hear from you. Which sign stood out the most? Was it people fixing themselves around you? People laughing around you? Or people moving closer without realizing it? Drop your answer down in the comments. I read them, and I love seeing the stories you all share. Sometimes the comment section is even more interesting than the video, so don't be shy. Join the conversation. And if you enjoyed spending this time together, make sure you subscribe and become part of this growing community. Every week we explore the strange, fascinating, funny, and sometimes surprising ways human psychology shapes our lives. No complicated lectures, no boring textbook talk, just real conversations about real people. So hit that subscribe button, turn on notifications, and come back for the next video. Because trust me, the more you understand people, the more interesting life becomes. And until next time, keep observing, keep smiling, and keep noticing the things that everyone else misses.